Today I'm going to take a little flake and make a little sun disk. I ran out of large flakes. I'm going to make a larger one as soon as I get more of this material. I think it's perfect for a little sun disk. I don't think I've made one before. I've made a circular I've made circular objects before, way back when I started, but it's been a long time. It's going to be relatively easy. I just need to make sure I maximize it to get the biggest one I can from this little flake. Let's see. All right. So I did some yard work today, so not much napping. Finished up my shipping. That's about it. I did do a little bit of testing on a couple nodules earlier, so I can put the material in the heat treat. I just wanted to make sure it was heat treatable. It seems like it is. I mean, you can't really make sure, but you nap it a little bit, you get the feel for it, and you go, yeah, I think I've heat treated this stuff before. You know, you say to yourself, yeah, it feels familiar as far as a good heat treat goes. So yeah, I'm trying to fill up the turkey roaster for the next batch of heat treat. So that's about it. It's time to get the yard fixed up. Last year I wasn't here, so I neglected it completely, and there was a drought, so looks pretty bad. There's no grass. Well, 50% of the yard is no grass. I estimate 50. That's a lot. Half the yard is bare. So the only problem I see making discs is the island in the middle. There's a chance to get an island going that you can't remove if it's too thin. So probably the secret to these is just keep them thick until the very end. There's cortex and stuff right there. I try to get rid of it without removing too much of the other material. This is raw, by the way. It's raw. Flint River has a nice translucency to it. I'll try to get it thin enough so it's completely translucent. Right now you can't see much of the translucency in the middle. Yeah, back when I first started, I did a lot of shapes, different shapes in stone. Squares and triangles, circles, just basic shapes, but lots of variation just to get the hang of it. I think there's some of these that are really small. But I don't know. I didn't look them up. This is a request to do a round disc shaped flint knapped object. So I thought it was something different. And I had forgot to do it earlier. This is a request from way back. kind of sort of way back. I got stuff on the back burner that it's older than this request, believe it or not. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. Just gonna make sure the flakes go to the middle or a little bit past the middle, as in everything. A lot of the original flake surface there. This is a steel rod this time, by the way. I do have an aluminum rod of the same diameter. It's lighter in tone than the steel. That's how you can tell. Okay, there's different tones. And the steel used to be 12 inches. So I've used up quite a bit of it. I didn't even realize till today. This aluminum rod's 12 inches. So yeah, I've used up quite a bit over the past, I don't know how long it's been since I first started using it. I estimate about a year, maybe a year and a half. Yeah, the stone is acting like it's raw. It won't let me nap it like a heat treat. I'm trying to use just expedient platforms. I'm going to have to develop these striking areas a little bit better. More grinding, probably. The thing is, if you mess up a little bit, you gotta do the whole, you gotta make it symmetrical all the way around. You can't just locally, you know, with a triangle, you can kind of work with it a little bit. And it doesn't have to be a perfect triangle. With a circle, it has to be a perfect circle. So it's more of a type of point that you're making to spec. Maybe not in size, but in shape, because it has to be a circle. If it's not circular, completely circular, it doesn't look right. Because it's supposed to represent the sun, I imagine. Right? It's supposed to represent the sun. That's what I'm thinking. Probably a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to think it represents the sun, yeah. Okay. I want these flakes to travel, but I don't want to overshoot this because then it'll be a disaster. It totally messes up the whole thing. I'm having to hit it pretty hard to get those flakes to travel. I suppose if it's small enough, you could pressure flake the whole thing. Once you get it down to a nice biface, nice circular biface, you can pressure flake the rest of it. It's still a little bit off, but I'll even it up once it gets thin. Yeah. It wants to be ground down a lot. No, it's not like that though. Let's see. I think the gloves, these are brand new, right? So they're kind of still kind of cushiony and bulky. So I think I'm losing some energy there. Yeah. I can feel the resistance now. If the gloves are a little bit too bulky, you get a little bit of looseness in the grip. You got to firm up the grip, and if there's looseness because of the bulkiness or the looseness of the gloves, you'll lose energy. I measured in the beginning, right? Yep. Yeah, I'm feeling low energy tonight. It's getting hot. It's summer's fast approaching. It's getting hot here in Texas, so I don't do well in the heat as far as energy goes. It saps all my energy. The cold kind of does it too, but it's not as bad. So it's just a matter of getting rid of all the lumps. I'm already getting an island in there. Yeah, I need to put a little more force into it. It looks easy, right? Because you can attack the island from many directions. But if none of the directions are working, if it's already thin and you're trying to thin it down even more, it starts to get finicky. And then you can't reach the island. Yeah, and then you have to kind of balance it with how hard you're hitting. You don't want to, you want to get it thin, but you're hitting a thin piece extremely hard. The distance is deceiving. It looks like it's not a big deal, but the flakes are actually going to travel more than an inch. Right, so this is now a 2-inch disc. I don't want to get it much smaller than this. It does have an advantage that you can attack the center island from many directions. I think I already said that. That's the good part. The bad part is the island will rear its ugly head periodically. So you're constantly dealing with it. But overall, it's easier than a regular point, in my view. Okay, now I have to be very selective about the flakes because it's getting kind of thin. Regularize it and thinning it also. And during the regularizing, you can't be creating step fractures. Because you don't want to mess up your potential flake paths into the center. No, not like that. I gotta hit it hard, but not like that. Somehow that kind of didn't seat right. Yeah, I'm feeling like let's change the position, seating position a little bit. Feeling like I can't wind up enough. Here we go. Okay. I had to back away from the camera slightly. And it probably doesn't need to be sharp, so I don't have to worry about that part. Just needs to be thin enough so you can see the translucency. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much just damage control the whole time. Install a step fracture and then get rid of it. Install another one and get rid of it. Try to get the lumps out. See, every time you take a little bit off the edge, you got to trim it around everywhere else a little bit. Keep up with the symmetry. So I lost about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Let's see. I'm just trying to get it as thin as my ability will allow me to do it. Just trying to get it as thin as my ability will allow. Now, how about putting little serrations in it to make it look more like the sun? That'd be interesting. But I can see where this will give you good practice on various attack routes or routes for damage control. That's all it's been, pretty much. Various avenues of attack, various places where it needs to be trimmed or flattened or whatever. I think that's good enough. I can just trim it around the edges. Into its final shape. This I probably will use the glove, yeah. Got flakes everywhere. Right. So yeah, I can see that these might actually be good for practice pieces. If you can do one of these, then you won't have any trouble working on edges and doing damage control and sending in flakes. It's actually pretty good practice. You don't have to worry about making a particular point. Just gotta look at symmetry. It'll give you practice with symmetry. I think a larger one might even be easier than a smaller one. And if you already have a pattern, that'll help you with the symmetry. It's easy to draw a circle with just primitive tools. Just do a string with a pin and then just trace it out on a piece of wood, and then you put your workpiece over the wood and see if it matches. Something like that. So I'll give you some practice working with a pattern too. I'm just going to eyeball the circle. Now, can these actually be used as tools? Yeah, I don't see why not. If it's sharpened all the way around, it's pretty handy. It can be used as a knife or scraper pretty easily. And if you bevel the edge, it's even better as a scraper, right? If you bevel it in one direction, I don't know. I don't know much about these. I don't know if they were beveled or not in some cases. Somebody out there knows more about these things. Yeah, it's just a matter of whittling it down. It would be easier if I had a pattern. But it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm wondering if some of these were ground around the edges. I haven't really seen too many of these. I know that on some sites there's a lot of circular looking objects on some sites. I think I remember either that was explained to me or I saw it somewhere. I think it was in an explanation. There was one site where there's a bunch of these found, where somebody found a bunch of these at one site. Yeah, so I can get persnickety and get really circular. Keep going with this. But that's it. I don't see any major issues with it. Okay. See, and I'll get a thumbnail shot with the backlight. But for now, that's it. And let's see how much I lost. Let's see. 27 minutes, 28 minutes. Okay, I lost 1/8 of an inch from the 2 inches. Probably more than that. Yeah. 3/16. I lost 3/16 off of it. Let's see if I rotate this. It's going to stay at 13/16. There's a little bit of wonkiness right there. It's a little bit narrow. But pretty much it's at 13/16 all the way around. Okay. So yeah, all right. That's it for tonight. I'm pretty much worn out for today from doing other things, not from flint knapping. So I'll just take a backlit snapshot and get a nice, hopefully nice translucency. But there you go. That's it for now.